Welcome to my Love Ultras. This is episode 45 and I'm John Kynaston. I'm recording this on Saturday the 9th of March 2019, which means that the Dragon's Back race, which is my main race of 2019, certainly this first half, is just 10 weeks away. And it definitely feels as though we're getting to the business end of the training now. You enter this race, well, I entered over a year ago, and you sort of it's in the back of your mind that it's coming, but now it's getting serious, as it were, and the race is getting closer. And there's certainly a lot more activity on the Facebook page and people chatting about it and doing recce's and getting ready. So that's certainly in my thoughts as well. And I'm now 9 weeks into my training program. I decided I would start a sort of a 19 weeks really from when we got back from Indonesia in early January, and I would set out a training program, and I'm 9 weeks in. And really happy with how things are going. I set myself the goal of trying to run at least 40, 50, 60 miles a week. But the key thing is I wanted to do at least 5,000 feet of ascent. And most weeks I've been able to do that. And most weeks I've been nearer 8, 9, even 10,000 feet 1 week. So really pleased with how my training's going. And I definitely feel as though I'm getting stronger and fitter on the hills and getting ready for the race. This week I had a little bit of a setback. When I ran last Saturday with my friend Cami, we did 3 Munros, came off Ben Narnain on a decent path, and I tripped and I fell really heavily against quite a big big boulder on the side of the path, and it really winded me, and my side's been quite sore. I ran Sunday and it was a bit sore. I went on Monday to the club session and it was really sore. And I realised I maybe needed to take a little bit of a break. So I've not ran for 4 days. I should have done a Ben Lomond run and a Pollard Park lunchtime run. But I decided, particularly with the Hardmoors 50 coming up a week today, that it would be better to try and let it settle. And I ran this morning, did a run around the Braes, and it was a lot better. I can barely feel it now. So I'm hoping by next Saturday it will have gone completely. But generally, training's going well. Physical training, feel as though I'm getting stronger. I'm pleased with the effort I'm putting in and the sessions I've done. I've lost about a stone in weight since I came back in January from Indonesia. So I weighed myself yesterday and I was 11 stone 6, which is probably my lightest since I did the 2015 Lakeland 100 race. So again, pleased with the way that I've lost some weight and definitely feeling better for that as well. But the thing I wanted to cover on this Love Ultras is the other side of preparing for a race like the Dragon's Back, and that is everything else that goes with it. And in this episode I wanted to talk about navigation, because like most people, certainly it's true for me, I think I've got to get most things right to complete this race. It's not going to be easy. I think it's at the limit of my ability, as it were. I feel as though each individual day I feel fairly comfortable about, but what I don't know and what is going to be the real challenge is putting it day after day and being able to do day 1, day 2, all the way through to day 5. And so I think I've got to get most things right. And so one of the things I've definitely got to get right is the navigation. I think if I go wrong, if I waste time, mentally it really affects you, and also obviously adds on distance and therefore time. So instead of taking maybe 12, 13 hours on a day, if it takes you another hour, that's 1 hour less of recovery for the next day. Do that too many times, then you're in real trouble of missing the cutoffs and also not being able to recover for the next day. So I was really keen, and I'm really keen, to try and do as much as I can to really prepare for the navigation. So in this one I wanted to talk about 2 aspects. One is pre-race and one is what our plans are for the race itself. Now, for the pre-race preparation, which has been going on since I entered the race last May, was again twofold. One was to do as many recce's as I could, and so I've recce'd 4 days out of the 5 so far. We did with my good friend Andy Cole. We did one in July, day 1. We did day 2 in August. We did day 3 in October. I did day 5 on my own just a few weeks ago in the February half term. So I've done day 5, and we plan to do day 4 in April. Again, Andy's coming down with me. Now this takes time and effort to get down, because I live in Paisley near Glasgow, so it's a good 4-5 hours to the start in Conway, and it's a good 7.5 hours to the finish in Clydendilo. So it's a fair way to go, but I feel as though it's been worth it. And now that I've covered 4 out of the 5 days, and I will have done all 5 days by the race, I've got a clear picture of the route. And so that's really helped me with the navigation. And I practice various things on those recce's about navigation to feel comfortable with the things I've got in place for the race. The other thing that I did is that I took lots of video clips during those recce's, and between now and the race I'm going to watch those videos a few times. I'll have the map with me, and I'll just try and familiarise myself more and more with the route and with what I'm looking out for. So it means that on race day I can hopefully remember what's coming up, and when I get to certain junctions which way I need to go. So I'm hoping that that preparation is going to really help me on the race day. And it's not just the navigation, it's also knowing when the hills are coming, where the checkpoints are. If I can take away as many of the unknowns as possible and make them knowns, then it's going to help me. So my pre-race preparation for navigation has been to do the recce's and to study the map and to really get involved. This week they issued the official route for 2019, and there are 1 or 2 changes. I would say the biggest one that I've seen is on day 2. The final two miles or so of day 2 was quite a tough little extra climb, and they've taken that out now, and you basically go down the road and it looks like you go along an old disused railway line to the campsite. So I think that should be easier, and it looks fairly straightforward navigation wise. But I've made that changes on my GPS, so I know what I'm looking for in that. And then the other days there's 1 or 2 little changes. I can't see many major ones, just a few mandatory routes which I think were pretty well there most of the time. But as I go through over the next 10 weeks, I will be making sure I'm clear on particularly the mandatory routes where you have to go. Andy's helped me with 1 or 2 choices, particularly on the end of day 3. There's a couple of times where we recce'd a slightly different route, and I'll be following those, so that will helpful as well. So pre-race, feel quite confident now with what I'm aiming to do between now and 10 weeks when the race starts. Now when it comes to the race day, again there was a post on Facebook a few weeks ago asking people what their main choice is with navigation, whether it's just map and compass, whether it's GPS, whether it's an app or whatever it is. And I thought it might be quite helpful just to share what I'm planning to do in my race. And I would say first of all, the thing that I'm going to use is my Sunto watch, and I'll download the GPS files into that, which means that then you can put it onto navigation. It's just a blank grey screen with a black line, no contours, no details, but it helps me to keep on track. And it's almost like a bit of a security blanket, to be honest. It means you can glance down, you can see you're online. I've used that during the recce's and it's pretty accurate, so I know that if I'm on the right track, then I can just glance down and I can see that yes, my little marker is on the line, so everything's good. The thing which I do like to do, and I will be doing alongside that, is obviously using a map and the compass. The map this is the 2017 map, but we'll get a 2019 one when we start the race. And this is brilliant. I love the Harvey map. It's so small, it's really durable. You can fold it in your pocket, just have the day or the section that you're on. And I found that really helpful on the recce runs, because it means that I can know exactly where I am. I can have a look, I can see the details, I can remember, oh yeah, there's a bit of a flat bit and then there's a bit of a climb coming up in half an hour or so, so let's try and get something to eat now, ready for the climb. And just gives me a sense of where the next dibber is, where the next checkpoint is, and just to keep that online. And it's obviously really helpful just to know exactly where you are all the time. So I'm going to keep the map out and be using that alongside my watch all the way through every day. I will be using my compass quite a bit as well. On day 2 when we did the recce, we went, at one point we wandered off and we ended up doing a loop and coming back to where we were, and I was convinced that when we got back to my line on my watch we had to go left, no, right actually. I thought we have to go right, but it was the opposite way. And Andy, I think he knew full well which way it was, but he said, oh, let's check. So we got the compass out, drew it on the map, and realised that yes, I was going to go north rather than south. And I found that since then, on the other recce days, there's a couple of times when I was pretty sure it's this way, but it takes 10 seconds, 20 seconds just to take a compass bearing, work it out. Yeah, it is definitely that way. And it just takes a bit of the stress away and gives you confidence to know that yes, you should be aiming for here. And there was a few times on day 5 recce where there was no real path, and it was in the mist coming off Fan B, I can never pronounce the name, and you're sort of coming down there, and it was great just taking a compass bearing, saying, right, I'm aiming for there's the compass bearing, right, let's just head on that line. There's no real path, let's just make our way down. And I'm going to do that quite a bit, I think, particularly in the mist, just to make sure things are going okay. So they're going to be my main navigation, my watch and the map, working those together. Now, what happens for me when things go wrong? And if I just rely on the Suunto watch, that's when I get in real trouble. Because once you wander off that line, and you might glance down and realise that the line is quite a way away from where you are. Now, this is where I think, personally, the Suunto doesn't work quite so well, because it makes the further you get away from the line, the bigger the scale is, and then you think you're fairly close, but you actually could be up to a quarter of a mile away. And so you start drifting off, thinking, oh well, I'm almost there and fine. And then you start heading back towards the line, thinking it's to the left. And then you look at it again, and you're on the you're on the left of the line now. You've gone too far, or it's not worked. So I must admit, I start to lose confidence a little bit in my navigation with the watch when I'm offline. When I'm online, it's fine, and I'm pretty happy with that. But when you're offline, that's when the problems come. So I've got two things. One is I've got the OS map on my app on my iPhone. Now, this is brilliant. I download the route onto the app. It means that you can then open it up, and it shows you where you are and where you should be, but it has the 1 to 25 map or 1 to 50,000 map, and you can see exactly where you are, and it's brilliant and it works really well. The other real advantage to it is that I like to put my iPhone on airport mode, and I don't use it as a phone. I'll carry a separate phone which has a Manx SIM card, Isle of Man SIM card, which means it treats the UK as a foreign country, which means that it's looking for the best signal. So it might swap from Vodafone to O2 to EE, whatever it is, and it's great. And it means that you always get quite a good signal wherever you are. So I use that as my race phone, the one that you have to keep in touch with the race. But I use my iPhone just as say, put it on airport mode, which means that I can use it for a camera, and I can also use it for navigation. And the OS Maps works on GPS rather than G3, G4. So even if you have a poor signal for a phone, it's normally pretty good for the GPS. So that's great. And I also have one called UK Maps, which I found actually works really well as well. It was cheaper than the OS Maps one. But it also gives a good sense, and you can press location and it will show you exactly where you are. What I haven't got on that one is the route, but it does mean I can pinpoint where I am, and I can work out in the map, oh yeah, I've drifted over to the right, so if I want to get back onto the main track, I need to do that. So if things go wrong, then the OS Maps or the UK Maps is the one that really helps me to get back online. I think the Suunto watch will also give you a grid reference, so I must have a go at that. Andy Cole was telling me about that, so I think I'll do that between now and the race as well, just to make sure, because that would be a third thing. And what it does, it gives you a 6-figure grid reference of where you are. You've got your map, you can work out exactly, and you can see where you are. That does take a little bit longer, so if the OS Map works on the app, then I would do that first. So I'm hoping that all those things together are going to help me. The knowledge of the course that I've done on the recce's, using my Suunto watch with the GPS line, alongside the map, which I'll have out the whole time to make sure I know exactly where I am. If I do wander off the map and I do wander off the line, then I've got a clear way of being able to find out exactly where I am to get back. Because I would say that one of my problems with map reading in the past, and I'm tempted to, is when I make a mistake, which is easy enough to do, is I make another mistake and then another one, and I've not been so good at admitting I've made a mistake, admitting I've gone the wrong way, and backtracking back to the path. I tend to blindly think, well, if I keep going on this way, I'll get back in it eventually, and you end up making another mistake and another mistake, and then it's costing more time. So I'm trying hard, and I did this in the Hardmoors 80 last November, and I was pleased with myself because I missed a turn off. I looked at my watch, I realised I was offline. And in the past, I would have been tempted to carry on and hope I'll get back. But I thought, no, I'm going to backtrack. It was only a quarter of a mile or so to get back online, and then I was fine. And so I am trying to learn from those things. So that's my navigation. That's my plan for being able to navigate this race. And I'm hoping that I'll make few mistakes over the 5 days. As I said, because I've got to get most things right, and I've certainly got to get the navigation right. This race, when it first started in 1992 and then 2012, you never had this option. They only gave you the map on the day of the race, and so you couldn't do any of this. And I think I'd have struggled quite a bit on those days. Whereas now, very kindly, they give you the map, they give you the GPS, so you can recce it and practice and work out your route, which gives you, people like me, more chance of being able to complete the race. I'm just going to finish this video with a little clip I took this morning. I was up on the Braes. I like to do a dress rehearsal run before a race. I've got the Hardmoors 50 next Saturday, so I wore the kit I'm going to wear, and I carried the gear I've got to carry for that race, and I did sort of just under 12 miles, and it's really muddy and wet up there. But I just gave a little video clip of my thoughts and my plans for next Saturday. So I'll finish here, and you can just watch just a couple of minutes of my thoughts about the Hardmoors 50 next week. It's now Saturday the 9th of March, and up on the Braes for a little run. And this is my dress rehearsal for the Hardmoors 50, which is next Saturday. I always like just to wear all the kit I'm going to be wearing just to get used to it. Everything pretty well is stuff that I wear all the time. The only slight new thing I'm trying out is these gloves. These I saw these in Decathlon, and they're brilliant because you just pull off the top bit, and you can get your fingers, so you can get food out, operate the camera, watch, whatever, and then just put it back over, and it becomes a mitt. So I've tried these out, and they're brilliant. I don't know how waterproof they are, but I've got over mitts which I'll carry as well, and then if it starts getting wet, I'll put the over mitts on, and they're really waterproof. So it's been a good little run so far. I've got about 45 minutes to go. My side is a lot better today. I haven't ran since Monday. I fell last Saturday on the way down off one of the Munros, and it's really sore. I shouldn't have ran Monday really, it was too sore, but I did. But I've had 4 days off, and it's easing off by the day, so I'm hoping by next Saturday I won't be able to feel it at all. I'm really looking forward to doing the Hardmoors 50 next week. I was going to be doing it with Katrina, but her knee's too sore, so I'm just on my own this time. And it'll be the 6th time I've done it, so it's a familiar route. I love the John and Shirley who organise it, good friends. It's always a great race this time in March, and it'll give me I think a good indication of where my fitness is generally, and particularly in relation to the Dragon's Back, which is 10 weeks away on Monday. So definitely getting to the business end of the preparation now. So I'm going to finish off my run, and I wish everyone, I hope you're having a great weekend.